And I think obviously Netanyahu is a dead man walking at this point. I mean, in political sense, by the way, just to be very clear there. It's very evident about how much he has messed up. There is an awful lot of opposition to what's happening inside of Israel itself. We've got some pretty good analysis coming out about the state of affairs in Israel that kind of led up into all of this.
Do you think American administrations, of which you were a part, were perhaps too sanguine about settlements and about the fact that any prospect of a two-state solution simply just completely went out of reach under Netanyahu, and you had a situation where Gaza just became a powder keg, just waiting to go
absolutely.
off?
Look, there were so many warnings about this. I mean, this wasn't my area, but similarly on issues related to Ukraine and many other issues, we just lost the ball and thought that because things weren't happening and because the week before all this happened, there were a number of statements saying the Middle East looks really quiet.
From
and
Jake
yet,
Sullivan,
but there was all alarms going off. I mean, I had many colleagues at the Brookings Institution where I work who were warning very clearly in those weeks leading up that there was about to be an explosion.
Do you think the Biden administration took its eye off the ball on this one?
I think everybody took their eye off the ball, honestly. I mean, were people talking about it here?
No.
Were people, talking about it in France or, in other countries where they're interested? Absolutely. I think this is our problem. We have a very short-term attention span.
And we become very insular.
We do become very insular, and we don't always see what's happening. I mean, the Arab states weren't particularly focused on this either. And Palestine was always an afterthought. The Palestinians are always an afterthought for most of the Arab countries. And in the case of the Saudi case, they were also busily trying to work out their relationships with Israel and thinking that then they would deal with the issue of Palestinians down the line.
How worried are you about potential Trump restoration? I mean, you've worked with him, you work for him. And how worried are you about it in two areas? One, it's clear, right, that Putin is simply waiting down the clock, hoping for a change of administration, no support further to Ukraine, and then he can force them to capitulate. But also in terms of American democracy as well. How worried are you about it?
I'm very worried, and I think everybody listening to this should be worried as well. And if they know an American, they should, basically get hold of them and give them a good shake and tell them, look, wake up to what's happening here.